What's up YouTube, Michell here from lowenduniversity.com. In this lesson I'll be taking you through 3 steps to bring you to cleaner bass playing. Okay, and what this lesson revolves around is the fact that unless you're using a pick or play guitar, we don't have the luxury, if we're playing fingerstyle, of palm muting. We don't have that luxury of just slapping our hand down on the bridge and muting all the strings at once. So we have to resort to other methods, and I find using both hands in tandem is the most practical way for a bass player to mute our unused strings. So the first method I want to talk about is the floating thumb technique. And if you haven't heard of that, I highly advise you pay attention because this is the most important of the 3. The floating thumb technique is the idea that as you ascend the strings, your thumb follows behind each one and just lightly touches it. The idea is to keep our thumb and plucking fingers very close together. Whether you're ascending up and down, you're always having this sort of consistent distance between your thumb and plucking fingers. What you don't want is to just mount your thumb on the pickup and do this number. As you ascend, your wrist angle just gets worse. You want to kind of do this. Okay, and as I ascend the notes, you'll see how my thumb just sort of grazes the strings and follows behind. Very lightly. I'm not picking it up and throwing it back down. I'm just sort of going like this. Check it out. As I come down, it does the same thing. Okay, and that's just something you have to get used to. You have to work this into your playing for a healthy wrist angle, and it sort of cleans up your mess. And you'll notice if I ascend the strings and don't use this, you'll hear that ringing out. Check it out. You can hear that little bit of string ringing, and if you have a compression pedal on, any sort of effect, you're playing through a loud amp, that stuff comes out. I always advise practicing at louder volumes so you can really hear what extraneous noise is coming through in your playing. A lot of people practice with no amp, and when it's time to get on stage or record yourself, you hear all this noise you didn't hear before. And this is a big way to mitigate that, okay? The second method I want to talk about is an expansion of the floating thumb technique. So let's say you get up to these top strings. You probably don't play a 6 string, but if you do, or a 7 string, or whatever's more popular now, you'll notice that even if I do the floating thumb all the way up, even though I'm landing on that D string, I still have these strings unmuted now. So I can sort of use this extra real estate, for lack of a better term, on my thumb joint and just sort of rock it back. So as I'm playing up here on these top strings, you'll notice that these bottom 4 are dead. I'm sort of rocking my thumb back. My floating thumb has brought me up to the D string, rocking back, and I'm laying on those unused strings. Just a slight adjustment. And the thing about these second 2 muting methods is that it's just something I use as needed. If I hear those strings ringing out, I'll sort of just rock that thumb back, okay? And I really want to challenge you, if you don't already, listen to your playing. Record yourself, record videos of yourself. Turn up loud and see if you hear extraneous noise. You have to have clean playing and you have to be aware of it, okay? The third thing I want to talk about is now the left hand. So while this covers the ascending motion, when we descend, you'll notice that all of this really doesn't work. As I come down, what about all those strings I just left up here? I can't do the floating thumb backwards. So now I resort to the fretting hand for that. So you'll notice if I'm on this top string and I'm playing the very top string, I'm just fretting that string and that's it. But as I go down, just even 1 string to this G string, I'm using my fingertips to play those notes on the G string, but I'm still using the excess of my other fingers to touch this other string, the C string. So as I have my fretting hand in position on this G string, the C string is muted. And you extend that idea all the way down the neck. So even if I'm on the low E string, I'm just sort of laying my fingers over the strings just enough to mute them. So again, as I'm doing sort of a descending run, maybe it's a sort of scale thing, I'm using the undersides of my fingers to sort of lay over the strings. I can still fret any string and still do this. I'll leave a note suspended, I'll show you. These strings are dead, okay? So when you're ascending, use the plucking hand, the 2 methods I talked about. When you're descending, use the excess of your fretting fingers and use the left hand muting. You want to use both of these hands together. And as you're always descending or you're ascending, whichever way, both hands work together. So those are the 3 steps. Incorporate these into your playing, and I guarantee you will notice a huge difference if you aren't already. All right? Subscribe to our channel for regular bass lessons and tips, and come visit us over at lowenduniversity.com for 250 lessons just like this with new content every single Friday. We'll see you over there. Take care.